Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore says he will work with both sides of the aisle should he be elected, but is adamant he won't compromise on his principles. One America's Emerald Robinson caught up with Moore to discuss the hot-button issues facing Alabama voters. Here's part 2 of that exclusive interview.
You said that you and Donald Trump are a lot alike and that you've had to fight both Republicans and Democrats in your elections, in your campaigns, but you do have some support, you feel like, in the Senate if you were to be elected to the Senate. Who would those senators be?
Some of the conservative senators I think I'll vote with most of the time, and I think I identify with where they come from, so I don't think there's going to be any problem there.
And you talk a lot about the constitutionality of you basically have the Constitution memorized, it seemed like to me. And you talked about the constitutionality of the majority. Yeah. And you have some very interesting thoughts on that. And you say that that's one thing that makes them afraid of you in the Capitol. I
think the 60-vote rule, which is a Senate rule, violates the Constitution. When you have a 60-vote rule, it says you can't even consider the legislation till you have 60 votes to put it to the floor. You're actually preventing something that the Constitution allows. And that is improper. That is unconstitutional. A lot of the senators support the 60-vote rule. My opponent in the primary, Luther Strange, supported the filibuster rule, they call it. And that's simply because they don't ever get the legislation, don't have to identify their votes, don't have to vote on it. They can hide from it, if you will.
Let's move on to another hot button issue here in Alabama that I also hear a lot about from voters is the abortion issue. You and your opponent are exact opposite ends of the spectrum on this. Right. He's a strong supporter of Planned Parenthood, a woman's right to choose, as he says, and your take on it is that it's not just...
And I will not vote for Planned Parenthood to receive funding from the federal government to abort a child. Yes, Doug Jones and I have completely opposite opinions of this. He would allow abortion up to the birth, and I would look to overturn Roe versus Wade and seek judges who realize that once something's given out that's unconstitutional, it doesn't become some rule that you can't change. It always is unconstitutional. I think in Alabama it's very important to people of our state to recognize that abortion violates the Constitution and has been used to kill millions of potential Americans.
Now this has been quite a race. What do you feel like you've learned through this particular race?
I think immorality has sunken to a new low. And I think in this race I've been very much impressed with the lack of morality in political advertisements. They say anything, they do anything just to win. They don't care who they hurt. They don't care whether it's untrue. They don't care if it's something they just made up. I think they hide behind these false ads. It's just to attack the character of their opponent.
So when you're talking to voters and you're talking to a voter one-on-one, what do you say to them as to why they should vote for you?
I think they should vote for me because of my military experience. My opponent does not have military experience. I'm a graduate of the United States Military Academy. I was a company commander in Vietnam. You know, I'm very familiar with the military. I think I could help with the Judiciary Committee because I do understand the Constitution. I do understand what judges do when they put themselves above the Constitution. I think I could make a difference.
Thank you for sitting down with me, Judge Moore. It's been a pleasure to talk with you.